Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Pauline Verzosa.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
Senatorial hopefuls and party list seat seekers have filed their candidacy yesterday. Some familiar faces who are gunning for a senatorial seat are re-electionist Francis Tolentino, Agri-Party List Representative Wilbert Lee, and former presidential candidate Jose Montemayor. In the party list race, Lito Atienza will attempt a comeback by representing Buhay Party List. Former lawmaker Nery Colmenares also filed his candidacy as the first nominee of Bayan Muna Party List. The COMELEC said that 117 party lists have registered, but they canceled 42 of them due to the lack of filed requirements.
Ilalabas namin ang bilang na 160 party list na makapagpa-participate sa darating na halalan. So yun po ay lubhari mas mababa doon sa bilang ng party list na nagpa-participate ng mga ilang nakaraang halalan.
COMELEC Chairman George Garcia said the first day of certificate of candidacy filing went well. 17 senatorial hopefuls and 15 party lists have filed their candidacy yesterday. The filing of COC is until October 8.
So far, so good po. Walang untoward incident, normal ang filing natin ng candidacy at sana ganun lang mapanatili natin hanggang 8 ng Oktubre.
ACT-CIS Representative Erwin Tulfo leads a senatorial preference survey by social weather stations. Tulfo secured 54% of the voter preference, followed by former Senator Tito Soto, Senator Pia Cayetano, former President Rodrigo Duterte, and Senator Amy Marcos. Also among those who made it in the Magic 12 of the survey are former Senator Ping Lacson, Senator Bong Revilla, Las Piñas Representative Camille Villar, and Makati Mayor Abby Binay, as well as Senator Lito Lapid, former Senator Manny Pacquiao, and Senators Bato de la Rosa and Bongo. Re-electionist Senator Francis Tolentino says there's nothing wrong per se with dynastic politics. Here's an excerpt from his interview on The Big Story.
There was a soundbite in there of you talking about the fact that you don't see anything wrong with dynastic politics. I wonder if you could expound on that, please.
Nothing wrong per se because they're voted upon by the people. It's the decision of the voters. So while there is a constitutional provision, as I explained it, and I was asked that said provision is not self-executory and would need an enabling legislation to have that implemented. So I think we have to wait for that law. But thus far, there are dynasties, quote unquote, that are can be considered as performing well.
Yeah, there are a number of families running next year, Ngay. So do I take it to mean that if you do get...
It's not bad per se.
Right. Do I take it to mean that if you do get a second term in Senate, that you're not going to be supportive of the anti-dynasty bill?
I'm not saying that, but it has to be clarified, explained. Preventing members of a political family from running would not probably be the right cure for a disease that is intended to be cured. It cannot be considered even as prophylactic because you look at the records of the candidate himself or herself, not just because he or she belongs to a political family.
What, to your mind, would be a better cure then?
I still don't. Better education, information campaign on the part of the voters, better understanding as to the background and platforms of the candidate, and greater involvement of the voters themselves in really filtering out the bad ones from the good ones, and transparent good governance.
Senator, you recently got out of the party of former President Rodrigo Duterte, PDP Laban, and you mentioned that it is because of the misalignment in principle. And you cited also that you stand differently when it comes to the West Philippine Sea. Is that the main reason or meron pa pong iba na
That's the reason.
pagkakaiba po ninyo?
That's part of the letter. That's what I also mentioned this morning when I was asked. It's the realization that our engagements with various countries would really be needed, while at the same time strengthening, fortifying our diplomatic relations.
We'll be back with more stories after this break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Pauline Verzosa. 10 fraternity members involved in the death of University of Santo Tomas law student Horacio Castillo III were found guilty of violating the anti-hazing law. The Manila Regional Trial Court Branch 11 convicted Aegis Juris members Arvin Balag, Min Wei Chan, Axel Munro Hipe, Oliver Onofre, Joshua Makabili, as well as Ralph Trangia, Robin Ramos, Jose Salamat, Daniel Rodrigo, and Marcelino Bagtang. They were sentenced with reclusion perpetua, or up to 40 years of imprisonment. They also have to pay over 680,000 pesos of damages to the Castillo family. Castillo died of hazing 7 years ago, and the father of Castillo was emotional over the verdict.
It's a long journey, 7 years. This is how we imagined it to be, na madadali namin ito dito. Those 7 years, I think for our son, it is worth it. You know, we all saw it from day one. We all had our doubts kung ano mangyayari.
Meanwhile, Castillo's mother, Carmina, expressed satisfaction with the verdict. However, she believes that UST and Law Dean Nilo Divina are also responsible for the death of her son.
The guilty verdict is a team effort. We all placed our 100% and we got our conviction. At this point, I would like to say that I'm holding University of Santo Tomas responsible for the death of our son. It has been proven that Aegis Juris has been practicing hazing. And it's time to check your policies and your laws in the school.
Now, in other news, the approval and trust rating for our top officials have dropped in September. Vice President Sara Duterte saw the highest drop with around 10 percentage points. Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho has that report.
The approval and trust ratings of both President Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte declined in Pulse Asia's latest survey, which was conducted from September 6 to 13. The president's approval score dipped by 3 percentage points from June to 50% in September, while his trust rating slid 2 percentage points to 50% as well. According to the chair of UST's Political Science Department, Professor Dennis Coronacion, the president's numbers continue to reflect lingering issues around inflation, poverty, crime, and tensions at the West Philippine Sea.
Sa lahat ng suliranin ng ating bansa, among these top officials, ang tinatama ng husto yung Pangulo. Nandyan din yung West Philippine Sea issue. Oo, alam naman natin na since the president is the architect of our foreign policy, patuloy tayo nabubuli. May mga hostile incidents sa mga disputed territories. Ang naisip agad ng tao ay yung Pangulo. O sasabihin, sign ng kaduwagan.
But the biggest movement in the survey showed up in Vice President Sara Duterte's numbers. She dropped 9 percentage points in approval in September, coming in at 60%, while she lost 10 percentage points in her trust rating, falling to 61%. The vice president's biggest decline in trust was in the National Capital Region, where it fell a whopping 29 points to just 37%. It's the complete opposite for her in Mindanao, where her trust score dipped 5 points but remained at a high 90% in September. Political analysts say it's clear Duterte's numbers were affected by the contentious hearings on the budget of the office of the vice president. He says it also didn't help that she butted heads with the lawmakers and boycotted the hearings.
Nagtuloy-tuloy yung pagbanat sa kanya ng mga members ng House hanggang tuluyan na ngang nasira yung kanyang kredibilidad sa publiko, no? Ang gustong palabasin ng Kongreso doon ay corruption na vice president official. The members of the House have succeeded, and it reflects on the survey ratings of the vice president.
Aside from the top 2 officials, Senate President Cheese Escudero and House Speaker Martin Romualdez also suffered declines in their numbers. Escudero, who took over just in May, saw his trust rating drop 13 points. His September approval rating came in at 60%. Speaker Romualdez, meanwhile, saw a 3-point decline in his September approval rating, coming in at 32%, while his trust rating dipped to 31% in the same period. Professor Coronacion says the pressure is greater on Speaker Romualdez to improve his numbers, especially if there are bigger plans for him in 2028.
Dahil kung si VP Sara Duterte, siya yung may pressure din sa kanya kasi expected rin siyang tumakbo bilang presidente. The same goes for Speaker Martin Romualdez kasi siya yung ini-expect na pambato ng administration coalition sa darating na 2028 presidential election. kung sa ngayon 32% or 33%, dapat by next survey cycle nakaano ka na, siguro 37 or 38. So little by little makikita mo na may progress.
Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho. We are One News.
Bilang Pilipino. Bilang Pilipino.
Some congressional aspirants have already filed their COCs. House Speaker Martin Romualdez will again run as representative of Leyte 1st District. Meanwhile, party list groups Buhay and Bayan Muna will seek seats after losing in the previous election. Other groups that filed their COCs include Ako OFW, Lingap, and Kamanggawa party list.
Ang issue na dadalhin ng bayan muna sa eleksyong ito, una ay ang pagpababa ng presyo. Lalo na ng gasolin, ng langis, kuryente at tubig. Ang aming panukala ay dapat hanapan ng paraan ng gobyerno gawin niya na bumaba ang presyo ng mga bilihin. Ang isa dyan na sinasabi ng bayan muna, tanggalin na kaya ang VAT sa kuryente, tubig at langis. Kasi malaking bagay yan, 12% yan, pero kung matanggal mo yan, malaking maiibsan ang paghihirap ng ating mamamayan.
Now, some vloggers are also trying their luck in next year's elections. Mark Gamboa has filed his candidacy for senator yesterday. If elected, Gamboa wants to establish a fake news monitoring office to counter misinformation. And in Manila, Rosmar Tan Pamulaklakin has filed her certificate of candidacy in the 1st District. Rosmar is running as an independent candidate. The influencer said her plans include giving free maintenance medicine for senior citizens. She also insisted that she does not need the government's money and she only wants to help the public.
Hindi ko na po kailangan ng pera ng gobyerno, pera ng mamamayang Pilipino dahil meron na po tayong mga sports car, mga bahay, mga ari-arian at kung ano-ano pa. Opo, man ako sa social media. Pero isa lang po yung sinisigurado ko po, hindi po ako kurakot na tao.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Pauline Verzosa. We are One News.